Hi, my name is Julia and welcome to my Brazil 2021 vlog. This video is going to be different from my other travel vlogs. I'm going to be filming this sit-down video and then putting clips like videos and pictures from my trip over this video as I explain it. The reason why I'm doing that is because while I was on this trip, I didn't actually vlog at all. I still want to put this video up. I had all of this B-roll, I put it all in a sequence in Adobe and I have an hour's worth of footage. So clearly I have a lot that I want to include, but there was no story, I didn't explain it all, so I want to sit down, talk about the trip, and as I do that, you'll see what I did with an explanation, with context. So with all that being said, let's talk about the trip. I went to Brazil for 2 weeks this past July, so July 2021, and I went when I did because my cousin and his fiance had off. I was working a part-time job, it was easy to take time off, I had money to spend, so I thought why not. They wanted to do a road trip through Minas Gerais, which is a state in Brazil, and I'd barely seen the state, so I thought it was going to be a cool opportunity. So yeah, we spent about 10 days, 2 weeks road tripping through Minas. We went to Lavras, Tiradentes, Ouro Preto, Monte Verde, São Lourenço. You'll see it all. To start off the trip, I obviously had to fly to Brazil first. I got round-trip tickets to Rio from EWR, because that's the closest airport to me. My mom drove me to the airport. I checked in, went through security, all of that. I spent some time in the lounge because my godmother gave me access, so that was pretty cool. Just a nice place to relax before my flight to Rio. Or actually to São Paulo, because I had to go from Newark to São Paulo then to Rio. I remember having a pretty good flight experience. I love flying out of Newark because you get really great views of the city. I had a whole row to myself, which was awesome. I got to sleep laying down. The food wasn't bad, it was decent. And then the sunrise coming into Brazil was so beautiful. I landed Sao Paulo and I have just enough time to get some breakfast before boarding my flight to SDU, which is an airport in Rio. It's a quick flight, it only takes an hour, but what's really great about flying into SDU are the views you get of Rio. In this video, I'm getting awesome views of Sugarloaf Mountain. In this video, you can clearly see the Christ statue or Corcovado Mountain. It was beautiful. The next step after that is to get to my apartment in Rio. My dad actually arrived a few days before me because he was spending a week in Rio, and he picked me up from the airport in an Uber. On the whole way to the apartment in Copacabana, he was just chatting with the Uber driver about emigrating to the United States. I just sat there and took videos of the city. As you can see, Rio is so beautiful. It is one of my favorite cities. This Uber took about 20-30 minutes. It was pretty quick and it took us to our apartment. I did film a tour and kind of vlogged that, so I'll let past Julia take it away for a minute or two here. So this is the apartment we just bought, but yeah, when you first walk in, there's this little entryway with these little decorations. Ooh, and the fancy lighting. And down here's a shoe storage thing. I don't know how to open it.
Push the bottom.
No. Ooh! So that opens.
Gently.
Gently. And then you walk in. It's a little small but cozy. It's perfect for 2 people, but you can fit 4. The kitchen's here, fridge, and everything.
Still missing the microwave.
Yeah. We need microwave here and the cooktops here. Then this is the bathroom, which is super nice. Toilets there. We have this little couch that turns into a bed, TV, all these decorations. I'm bringing that home with me. The bed, closet space. There's a washing machine in there, if you want to see. We're gonna get a dryer up there. And there's our window with no view.
And you can see if the sky is sunny or not. If you can go to the beach or not.
Yep. And then you can hang clothes to dry here. With his underwear.
It's clean.
And that's the apartment tour. I love it so much and I can't wait to return super soon to stay in it again. I arrived in the morning, early afternoon. My dad hadn't eaten yet, so after I got settled in and filmed that video, we went to a bakery to get some food. After that, we spent about an hour walking around the area. We walked around Copacabana before crossing over into Ipanema. Then we visited a farmer's market, which is pretty cool. We bought some fruits that my dad wanted me to try. After that, we hopped in an Uber to meet some of our family members for lunch in Leblon. The restaurant was really nice. I obviously had to get a caipirinha, and the food was just really good too. We also had great company. I love spending time with my family, even if it's just for an hour. It was a really fun lunch. From there, my dad and I had to hurry over to the apartment because he was catching a flight in a few hours. We said our goodbyes and Ubered back. After he left, I relaxed, showered, and got myself ready for my road trip through Minas. Before I talk about the rest of the trip, I need to introduce you to everyone that was on this trip. There were 8 of us. So there's me, Julia, my cousin Victor. He lives in Lavras in Minas. His fiance Bia. It was my first time meeting her this trip and I love her. My cousin Vinicius, my grandma Andrea. She's a family friend of mine. I've known her since I was a baby. Her son Lucas I've known since he was a baby. They are family friend Juliana. So my first stop on this Minas trip was Lavras. My cousin Victor lives there. He went to school there and now he runs an English school. To get there, my cousin Vinicius, me, and my grandma took an overnight bus from Rio, from the Centro District to Lavras. For an overnight bus, it was pretty uneventful. It was bumpy, very twisty, turny roads. We stopped in a lot of small towns along the way. We stopped for like food at one point in the middle of the night, or food slash bathroom, but mostly I just slept. We left Rio the night before at 9:30 p.m. and we arrived in Lavras at 5:30 in the morning. The first thing that really hit me was the cold. Like in Rio, it wasn't too cold at all, even though it's winter in Brazil, but Lavras, it was cold. I'm from New Jersey. I know what it's like to be cold, but I was just in the middle of summer there. I was not prepared for it. But thankfully, we didn't have to wait long before my cousin Victor and his fiance Bia came to pick us up. Victor drove us back to his apartment where we got settled, had some breakfast, enjoyed the sunrise. That overnight bus definitely took a toll on my grandma, so while she rested, Victor, Bia, Vinicius, and I went around Lavras. They wanted to show me around. Good, he showed me the English school as well, so that was also really cool to see because like that's a business he started. And then after that, we went back to the apartment because me and Vinicius really wanted to rest. That nap was much needed. So we took that nap, and then after we all woke up, we went to this steakhouse for lunch in Lavras. The food was really good. From there, we went back to the apartment. Victor, Bia, and I filmed some content for his Instagram. They're up on his page if you ever want to see them. We enjoyed another beautiful sunset, and from there, we went to Victor's friend's house. Her name is also Andrea, not the Andrea I was talking about before, but this one lives in Lavras. We had a typical Minas Gerais dinner there. We had this like pulled pork type of meat. I forget what kind of meat it was, but it was like kind of like pulled pork. And then pão de queijo. We like ripped open the pão de queijo and then put the meat in like kind of like a little mini sandwich. It was really good. For dessert, we had goiabada, which is like a guava paste thing, and doce de leite. Very good. They're both made on a farm like nearby. And then we went back home after that to rest up because we went on a day trip to Tiradentes the next day. Tiradentes is a very historical and cultural city in Minas Gerais. It used to be called São José, but it was renamed after Tiradentes, who was a historical figure. He helped with the fight for independence. Here's a clip of my cousin Victor talking about this story.
Tiradentes, he helped with the revolution and everything, with Brazilian independence, and then he was hanged in Ouro Preto, not in Tiradentes, like Lucas was saying. This used to be called São José before, or yeah, well, we don't know exactly the name. And then, so he was leading everything in Ouro Preto. He was hanged there, chopped into pieces, right? Yeah. And his head was actually kept in Ouro Preto as a symbol and everything. And a couple years ago, I don't know how many years ago, but it was stolen, and nobody knows where it is today. Who steals a head?
So that's some pretty interesting stuff. We did end up going to Ouro Preto on this trip. He talked about that in this past clip, so you'll see a bit of that. But yeah, let's talk about Tiradentes for now. Tiradentes was a 2-hour drive from Lavras, and of course I can never get enough sleep, so I slept a lot on the way there. Me, Victor, Bia, Vinicius, and my grandma drove over to Tiradentes, where Andrea, Lucas, and Juliana were staying for a few nights. We did a bit of sightseeing, walk around the city before meeting up with them, and then we all walked around the city together. This is the iconic church you have to visit in Tiradentes. It's really pretty inside, and here is a picture of the whole group. For lunch, we went to a nearby town called Bichinho. While we waited to be seated in the restaurant, we had some beers, we took some pictures together. Victor also filmed some videos of them teaching me important Portuguese phrases to know, so I'll share those with you now.
As coisas importantes a ensinar gringo. Primeiramente, o Wi-Fi, né? Como que pergunta do Wi-Fi?
Vocês têm Wi-Fi aqui? Aê!
Agora a próxima. Tem cerveja gelada?
Se você estiver num bar, onde é o banheiro?
Lunch was really good. After that, we really want to be back in Tiradentes for sunset, but we didn't make it, but that's okay. We still had lots of fun there. We hopped this wall to visit this church. We visited yet another church, and we danced to a song that ended up being our anthem for the trip. It's really vulgar. If you're gonna listen to it, you've been warned. We ended the night with some drinks, and there is an important rule you need to know when drinking in Brazil.
Now we're recording. So Julia, what did you learn today?
Cheers or you'll have sex.
That's it. Very good. She learned fast and well.
So that was our day in Tiradentes. Andrea, Lucas, and Juliana went back to their hotel. Me, my cousins, Bia, my grandma, we went back to Lavras to rest up and prepare for our first stop on the road trip. Our next stop on this trip was Ouro Preto. It's known for its history, its beauty. It is also known for being the host of some crazy parties because there is a federal university there, and they have these things called repúblicas, which are basically like frats. It's just a group of people. They all live in the same house and they throw wild parties. So before I get into all of that, let's rewind. We left Lavras pretty early that morning because we had a 5-hour drive to Ouro Preto. I slept for the most part. When I wasn't sleeping, I was enjoying the beautiful countryside of Brazil. Like, look how pretty this is. The driving part was my least favorite part of these road trips. The highways are not well maintained. They're like 2 lanes. There's 1 lane to go one way, 1 to come the other. There's trucks, so that slows you down, and if you want to go faster, you gotta pass them. But that's also scary because there's like all these twists and turns in the road. It's not my favorite, but we did make it to Ouro Preto in one piece. I loved arriving in the city. It is so pretty. We had a really nice Airbnb too, so spacious for the 8 of us with great views. It was also really close to Praça Tiradentes, which is a great like central location. We arrived at the Airbnb, got settled in, and then me, my cousins, Bia, went to Victor's Friends República for some drinks. While we were there were also 2 really cute dogs, Brown and Danada, which are slangs in Brazil. If you want to Google them and know what they mean, you can. After that, we got lunch somewhere in the city, and then we enjoyed the sunset from this church really close to our Airbnb. I took lots of pictures and videos, and from there, the partying in Ouro Preto began. So me, my cousins, Bia, went with Victor's friend to this like bar or square area. We drank a lot of beer, a lot of cachaça. I made friends with like everyone. They were all calling me gringa, and like I don't even know what we were talking about. Overall, it was a fun time. I made a lot of friends, drank all night, like literally stayed up all night. As you can imagine, I was really cranky. I was tired. I was hungover / maybe still drunk. And that was not ideal because we went on a really big tour of Ouro Preto, but I persisted, which was well worth it because it was a really good tour. We went to a few viewpoints, churches, mines, and it ended with a lunch at Praça Tiradentes, or like right off the square. After all of that, I went back to the Airbnb to take a nap, shower. It was well worth it because we were going out again that night. We started off with doing like pre-games and drinks at Victor's Friends República. That was fun. I drank a lot. The friends I made the night before were there, so that's also really cool. I was just chatting. We were there for probably 4 hours before making it to the real party at another República, and that was like the part. Like that was the other thing was just like a pregame. Like this was the party. I'm not gonna talk about the specifics. It was really crazy. I will tell you what is more PG. We were there until 2 or 3 in the morning, so not too late, honestly. Like when we left, the party was still in full swing. You'll never run out of drinks. You hold a cup the whole time of beer, and there's people walking around with like a liter of beer, like a glass bottle, and they'll just like, if you take a sip, they'll pour a little bit more for you. So you're never gonna run out of anything to drink. Even after the beer ran out, we had a mixed drink if you wanted it. Also, all the friends I made the night before were at that party too, so I was just going from group to group, talking to everyone. It was a good time, just talking in English, Portuguese, whatever. I would go up to a group, they knew me, they knew I was gringa, they were like, gringa, and I was like, hey. Another thing, I was dancing a lot. Brazilian funk is what they play at parties. By the end of the weekend, I knew some of the songs. They're fun, they have like a nice strong beat to them. Very fun to dance to. So yeah, if you're into the whole like party thing, like party all night, sleep during the day, maybe sightsee, Ouro Preto is for you. It was really fun, and we got home at a reasonable hour, so by the next day, we were ready to go for another day of sightseeing. This time, we visited some churches we didn't get to see the day before. We went to like this national park. They're not national park, just like a park where there were some museums, and we did like a little trail. So that was also a good time. After all that, we went to Lavras Novas, which was a struggle to get to, but well worth it. It was beautiful. We were there for sunset. We had drinks, we had dinner. It was a good time. And from there we went back to Ouro Preto. We went back to the Airbnb to relax. Victor B and I went to take some pictures in Tiradentes by night. Me and Vinicius still wanted to party that night. Everyone else wanted to sleep because we had to be out of Ouro Preto by like 6 a.m. We still wanted to party. We messaged some people from the nights before and we found something to go to. The plan was just to stay for a little bit, not drink too much, but once again, it was a crazy night. Had lots of fun. I will not go into the specifics again, but lots of drinking, lots of talking, making friends. We only got back to the Airbnb from that party at 5:30 in the morning. We had 30 minutes to like nap. We were clearly dead for this next day. It was well worth it. Ouro Preto was like a lot of fun. It was it was my favorite stop on the trip. Our next stop on the trip was Monte Verde. I hate saying it. I feel like I'm not pronouncing it correctly. It's a very touristy kind of place. It kind of resembles like a ski village in Europe. Fondue is really popular there. There's like some adventure kind of activities you can do, which I'll get into. There's lots of shopping you can do, lots of good food. Honestly, it wasn't my favorite, but I still had fun. Monte Verde was an 8-hour drive from Ouro Preto, and after that night, I was not having it. I was trying to sleep. They wouldn't let me sleep. They were like, you said you wouldn't sleep in the car, but I was like, I need to sleep. They eventually let me, so I was like kind of in and out of it throughout the whole 8 hours. We arrive in Monte Verde. We get settled into our Airbnb, which is a beautiful cabin. I didn't even take pictures, but it was really nice and spacious. After we did that, we got lunch, which was super yummy, and then we caught the sunset from this like hill, and that was so beautiful. We took so many photos and videos. We got some drinks at a restaurant like in the town. It's a really small town, like it's like along one road. There's just a few shops and restaurants. You can walk the whole thing easily in like an hour, not even. But yeah, the drinks were good company, and after that we went back to our Airbnb to sleep. Or at least try to sleep. I was dead from Ouro Preto, but like the older adults, like Victor, Bia, Andrea, they were super energized, and it seemed like their mission to not let me sleep. Eventually, they let me sleep, and then the next morning we got up, well rested, we got breakfast, and we walked around town for a little bit to find some things to do. We found a company that does ATV tours, so we decided to do that, and it ended up being really fun. I've never been ATVing before, so it was a really new experience for me, really cool. Took lots of videos. Andrea took lots of videos, and I didn't drive the ATV, I was like always a passenger, but it was still super fun. So we were with the same company like on their little property, and they also had zip lining, so we decided to do that as well. In hindsight, I think it was pretty sketchy, I don't really know, but it ended up being fun as well. So we also took lots of videos during that. Like I said before, Monte Verde is like really touristy, and the zip lining and ATVs felt very like tourist trappy, but I was there with fun people, so it ended up being a fun time. The people that like in our group who did go ATVing and ziplining was me, Andrea, Lucas, Juliana, and Vinicius. Victor, Bia, and my grandma stayed back in Monte Verde. So once we were done, we met up with them at this brewery in town for lunch, which was so good. I believe Andrea and Lucas and Juliana, they left that night or the day after or something. I don't know. They left around that time because Andrea was starting a new job and had to be back in Sao Paulo, but it was great having them on the trip. But for the rest of the time, it was me, Victor, Vinicius, Bia, my grandma. We all went out to dinner. We got fondue, and actually Monte Verde, they don't say fondue like that, they say fondue. The food is really good, had a good time with my cousins. We all went back to the Airbnb and slept. We were really on the go this whole trip, clearly. This next day, we finally had a really relaxing morning. I don't even think we left the Airbnb till like the afternoon. We just spent the morning relaxing, getting ready. My grandma decided to stay in for all of this, but me and my cousins, we first went back to that brewery. We had some beers, we had shots because we got like these free, or not free, but like we got these shot glasses along with it. I still have it somewhere. From there we went to the ice bar in town, which was really overpriced but still fun. You get good pictures from it, I think, and it's a cool different experience. Honestly, I do not like the cold. It was already cold enough in Monte Verde. I did not come prepared with the correct clothing. I had to keep stepping in and out of the room because my feet kept going numb. Yeah, you get the pictures, but I was not enjoying the cold at all. I did like the jacket, that was really cute. I went to that brewery, went to the ice bar, and we all had a few drinks on us by that point. We wanted to keep the night going, so we bought some wine, bought some cheese, went back to the Airbnb, toasted the cheese in the fire, had more wine, just hung out and talked. Yeah, it was just like a fun, chill time with my cousins. The next day was our final day in Monte Verde. We just packed up, chilled all morning. We got some lunch in town, which is really good. I keep saying that for every meal, but it was good. After that, we drove to São Lourenço. My grandma has like always lived there as long as I can remember. At least, we've been a few times. We were just there for the night. Like we went to her apartment building, got settled in. Me and my cousins went out for acai bowls. I think I was the only one that got one, but whatever. I love acai bowls. And then we got some beer and pizza. It was a good time. We were all just like beat from this whole trip. We're all very exhausted. So after that, we went back to the apartments and slept. With that, my Minas trip was over. We woke up the next morning, just had a chill time, buying some dulce de leche, whatever. And my cousin and I went back to Rio. He needs to be back for work. I need to be back to see my family, get a COVID test. Like I just want to see my like dad's side of the family who I was barely seeing during this trip. Yeah, my last few days in Rio were pretty uneventful. I slept, I rested, I went out for food, I hung out with my cousin, hung out with my aunt. I got some COVID tests. That was a whole process. I met up with my dad's side of the family for dinner in like the Lagoa area, which was nice. I went out for drinks with my cousin. I got lunch at Bar Urca, I can't say it, which is a really popular restaurant. I went there with my two aunts and my cousin, so that was really cool too. The food was so good. Oh my gosh. And we caught the sunset there and it was just beautiful. It's also a really good place to go drinking at night, which I've done in the past, so definitely do that. That final lunch was the last of my trip in Rio, Brazil. From there, my family drove me to the airport and I hopped on a flight back here to Jersey. So with that, my 2 weeks in Brazil were over. Overall, I had a lot of fun in Brazil during this trip, almost too much fun at some points. I got to spend time with people I love and just bond more with my family that I barely get to see. I got to see more of Minas than I have in the past, and I just can't wait to go back and see more of Brazil, see more places that I haven't seen before, experience new things. But yeah, overall I love Brazil. I love going back time and time again. I love that I have family there, I have roots there. Thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you gotta do, and I will see you in the next one.